Today, we're diving into the Rust programming language. But we're not going to talk about its famous memory safety or its speed. Nope. We're going to explore what might be its most important innovation, its governance. Sometimes the most revolutionary code isn't what you write, but how you organize the people who write it. So let's just jump right in with this really provocative statement from someone in the community way back. Rust would have died if it used the BDFL model. Wow, that is a heavy statement. So what on earth does this BDFL model, and why was avoiding it basically a life or death decision for Rust? Let's dig in. To really get what Rust built, we first have to understand the problem they were trying to solve. And that problem, it has a name: the Benevolent Dictator. So what is a Benevolent Dictator for Life, or BDFL? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's an open source leader, usually the person who started the whole thing, who gets the final vote on everything. The big names like Linus Torvalds with Linux or Guido van Rossum with Python, at least for a long time. And look, in the early days, this model worked. It gave projects a really strong, clear vision to get them off the ground. But as these projects get huge, that model starts to break down. First, you have a massive succession crisis. What happens if the leader gets burned out or just decides to leave? The entire project's future is tied to one person. Then you get this tyranny of structurelessness. When there's no formal structure, power becomes this informal kind of cliquey thing, which makes it really hard for new people to join. And finally, it's just a huge bottleneck. One person cannot possibly be an expert on everything in a project that big. No way. And when you lay these different models out side by side, the difference is just so clear. You can see the older models are bottlenecked and not very transparent. But Rust's model, it was designed from the very beginning to be scaled by teams, to have a succession plan built right in, and to be transparent by default. This wasn't some happy accident, it was a core design choice. So how did Rust actually do it? How did they build this system that could scale? It all starts with their process for making decisions, a process they call governing by argument. And this, right here, is the philosophical heart of the whole thing. In the Rust community, authority rests with the argument, not with a specific person. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a project lead or a brand new contributor. What matters is the quality of your idea and how well you can make your case for it in public. The machine that makes all this possible is the Request for Comments process, or RFC. It kicks off with just a casual idea on a forum. If it has legs, it becomes a formal, detailed proposal that anyone can see. That proposal then becomes the public space for debate, with a team member helping guide the conversation. If it gets enough support, it goes into a final 10-day comment period, kind of a last call for objections, before the right team makes the final call. It's this incredibly deliberate open path from a simple idea to a real change. Okay, but a process is just words on a page, right? You need people to actually run it. And this brings us to the human architecture of the project, this idea of a federation of teams. The project didn't actually start this way. It had to evolve. It went from having one single, do-it-all core team to a whole distributed network of specialized teams. This was the answer to that scalability problem. You just can't have one small group making every single decision about the compiler, the language, the libraries, the documentation, all of it. It's impossible. And to keep all these teams coordinated, Rust has a leadership council. But here's the crucial part. Its role is like a senate, not an emperor. Its job isn't to issue commands from the top down. Its job is to help coordinate and solve problems that cut across different teams. The real power stays distributed among the experts. This all rolls up into a concept they call governance as code. By writing everything down, making all the roles and responsibilities totally explicit and public, power is no longer some mysterious hidden thing. There's no secret group of insiders calling the shots. You can see exactly who is responsible for what, and you know the exact process to follow if you want to propose a change. That level of transparency is what makes the project so approachable and truly merit-based. So, a strong internal government is fantastic. But what about dangers from the outside? What's protecting this whole system from external pressures? And that brings us to the why, the reason they created an independent foundation. Okay, so Rust basically grew up inside Mozilla, which was essential for getting it off the ground. But in 2020, some layoffs at Mozilla really hit home and exposed a massive risk. What happens when your project's entire existence depends on one company's financial health? The answer came pretty quickly in February 2021 with the launch of the independent, nonprofit Rust Foundation. It gave the language its own neutral, permanent home. And listen to the Foundation's mission. It's so carefully worded to enable Rust maintainers to do their best work happily. Now, notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say it's there to set the technical direction for Rust. Nope. It's there to handle the money, the legal stuff, the servers, all the operational work that frees up the actual project teams to do what they do best: build an amazing language. So, how do you take money from huge companies without letting them take over the project? It's a classic problem. Well, Rust's answer is a brilliant structural defense. The Foundation's board of directors is split perfectly, 50-50, between directors from the corporate sponsors and directors who represent the Rust project itself. That balance of power is absolutely key. This structure is designed to be a bulwark, a firewall against corporate capture. It lets the project accept really vital financial support from companies without handing over the keys to the kingdom. Rust gets the resources it needs, but it doesn't have to sell its soul to get them. So when you put all of these pieces together, the process for making decisions, the structure of the teams, and the protective foundation, what do you end up with? Well, what you have is a blueprint for a digital republic. Let's just assemble the 4 pillars of this republic. You've got the RFC process, which is like the legislature, where laws are debated and made out in the open. You have the Federation of Teams, which are like the executive agencies, each with their own area of expertise, actually implementing those laws. You have the Leadership Council acting as a coordinating Senate, and it's all built on the solid bedrock of the independent Rust Foundation, which serves as the treasury and the legal system. It really all comes back to this one idea, that the phrase, "a language for the people," isn't just some catchy marketing slogan. It's a literal description of Rust's most fundamental, most important, and most lasting innovation: its governance. And all of this leaves us with one final, big question to think about. We've seen how Rust built this incredible system for collaborating at a massive scale, a system that balances speed, inclusion, and independence. So the question for all of us is this: is this a blueprint for the future of collaboration? Not just for software projects, but for, well,